There is nothing wrong with education in America that breaking the power of the teachers' union will not cure. How long do we have to wait until we realize what's happening in our schools? We have increased nationally per pupil spending, adjusted for inflation, from $7,500 a year in 1990 to $10,000 a year now. And our reading scores have not gone up at all, and our math scores have gone up by 0.6%. And yet, we're not changing it. We're leaving the same ridiculous, negative, incompetent school system there for our children. It's not that we don't get good teachers. We get lots of good teachers. But a third of them quit. A third of all new teachers quit after 2 years. And half retire after 5 years. They're so upset with the bureaucracy, the uniformity, the lack of any real financial compensation until you're so senior. So the union doesn't represent the students. Al Shanker said it best, the guy who founded the teachers union. He said, when students start to pay union dues, then I'll fight for higher quality education. There are 80,000 school teachers in New York City. 2 of them, have been fired for incompetence in the last decade. Thousands of teachers every day go to so-called rubber rooms in New York City where they sit all day and read the newspaper, and they're paid full-time with salary and fringe benefits to do so, because the chancellor has decided that they are too crazy, too senile, too abusive, too something, to let them be exposed to children. And he can't fire them. And New York City pays $40 million a year to subsidize these teachers in these rubber rooms. In every other field of endeavor, we use competition, we use choice. We let parents decide which school to send their child to. Your child is into engineering and science and stuff, send them to one of those schools, or the arts, or music, or writing, send them to a school that taps into that bent. And use competition, use individualization to create a school product that really works. And that is the essence of school choice. Now, we have been singing this gospel for many, many years. But this year, we have something else. The states are broke. States in the United States, all 50 of them combined, spent $3 trillion last year and took in $2 trillion. And the extra trillion came from Washington. But this year, when the methadone addicts line up at the clinic for their morning fix, the House of Representatives is going to say no. No more bailouts. You made your mess, you find the way out. We're not going to ask the taxpayers of Arizona to bail out Michigan. But what will happen? California will have to cut its school budget by a huge amount, tens of trillions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars. Will education be decimated in California? Will it be beaten down by these budget cuts? Will this generation of children have to suffer? Or will they, for God's sakes, open up the system so that you can send a kid to a school that costs a third less and gives them a better education?
School choice, vouchers, parental choice, parents having this active role in their kids' education and their lives has changed. And we're at a crossroads right now. And I view this whole debate of school choice and the teachers' unions. And I'm just with Dick. I'm squarely with Dick in terms of where the blame needs to be placed. I believe that the actions of the teachers' unions in America, North, South, East, and West, aren't just burdensome, aren't troublesome. I believe that when teachers' benefits packages are bankrupting states and the teachers' union knows it and they don't care, that's immoral. That's immoral. There's an immorality behind what they're doing. It takes heroes to fight this union mindset and fight for our children. And who are the heroes? Well, for starters, when a room like this is packed with hundreds of people on a Wednesday night in beautiful Phoenix, parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, moms, dads who care, who are taking an active role and taking a role in this sort of grassroots effort to fight back against these miserable, immoral teachers' unions. There's a heroic figure in New Jersey, and you know him, I'll bet, and love him, Governor Chris Christie. Challenged these unions, and he has pointed out the sheer immorality of their position. Who will forget the exchange he had with a member of the teachers union a number of months ago? Remember that, where a woman stood up and they were all yelling at him and challenging him, and he wanted them to work a little longer in the school day, a little bit longer, not much. And that woman stood up and she said, well, if I work longer as a member of the teachers union, you're going to have to pay me. You're going to have to pay me. And he was incredulous, and he put her in her place. And he showed, again, the sheer immorality of their position. I mean, Dick is right. In Detroit, they're closing schools in order to fund retirement packages. I mean, it's immoral. And the teachers' unions know it. That's the worst part. Randy Weingarten just got elevated from running the New York City union to the National Teachers Union. In going out the door from the New York City position she held, she got a $600,000 payout. A $600,000 golden parachute. So obviously, these people are powerful. And it's going to take the Chris Christies of the world, and hopefully the role of experts and great voices like Dick Morris, and hopefully what we do on the radio, to challenge us and change us. Unions are crushing innovation, and we see it every day. We still educate our kids assembly line style. And the options of school choice, when Dick recites these numbers, what it costs to educate a pupil in Phoenix, the public system versus the private system. You know, there's a difference in the core values of a teacher in the private sector versus the public sector. I believe that New Jersey teacher represented the views of a lot of teachers in the public sector who say, show me the money. How much money am I going to get? You remember the controversy in Rhode Island. The school superintendent in Rhode Island wanted them to work a little bit longer. They wouldn't. Guess what? They stared them down. They fired the whole starring lot of them. Fired them all. And you know what? That's what has to happen. Now, regrettably, that story, from my mind, didn't have a happy ending because they wound up rehiring. You know, it wasn't a Ronald Reagan ending like Patco to say, you know what, we're going to bust you. Because Dick is right. The only chance we have is to break this stranglehold that the unions have over our children. There's a great movie that everybody in this room probably saw. If you haven't seen it, you got to get the DVD and watch the movie called Waiting for Superman. It's an amazing film, and it dives into, and one of the most telling moments came when the great Michelle Reed, the school superintendent, who was heroic, a Chris Christie type, who was battling those teachers' unions, and she was winning, and she was elevating test scores, and she expected performance by teachers' students. She wound up getting run out of town along with her mentor, the one who supported her because of elections, because of the election where her mentor and her rabbi, if you will, was voted out. It's a moment in that movie, it's so telling. She's driving in the car and she had just been dealt another blow by the powerful unions. And the camera caught her saying, she was very diplomatic, but she said, I guess to these people, to these adults, their needs are more important than the needs of the students. That the adults come before the kids. That's the problem with teachers unions. And the answer is simple. The answer is clear. It starts November 2012, where we're going to elect politicians who embrace the school choice movement, who understand the power of school choice and vouchers, who are not going to tolerate the mediocrity and the incompetence and the immorality of the mindset of unions in this country.